40,000 miles isn't a particularly significant milestone of car ownership. It doesn't have the same ring to it that 50,000 does. Many warranties have already expired, more on that later, and I've only averaged about 10,000 miles a year. However, I needed to make a video, and this was all I could think of. I got this car as a high school graduation present in February 2014, several months before I actually graduated. In case you're wondering why my family bought it before I graduated, the reason is simple. Rebates. We drove about 3 hours up to Paris, Kentucky to Dan Cummins Chevrolet to buy this car, through snow and just general cold weather. When we got to the dealership not long after they opened, the salesman pulled the car around and turned the defrost on full blast to melt that snow away because there was quite a bit of snow on the car. I left the test drive to my dad since I had driven another Camaro of the exact same spec down to the matte black stripes a few weeks prior. After a little typical bickering with the salesman, we settled on a price and bought the car. Or, my dad bought the car. Yeah, I know, daddy's money, right? There isn't much to complain about having a new sports car as a first car. Sure, it could have a V8, but there are good things about the V6. The first of which is fuel economy. Now, admittedly, fuel economy is not high on my priority list for a performance car, but it's nice to get 28 miles a gallon on the interstate, on regular. 0 to 60 time for a late 5th gen Camaro is around 6 seconds if you're concerned about that sort of thing. It handles well, but the weight becomes an issue in sharper corners. The BF Goodrich tires have held up well so far and still have plenty of tread, despite one of them getting a staple in it. The 5th gen also has one of my personal favorite profiles, with a simple trapezoidal shape that cuts through the overly rounded edges on many other cars. It also looks good in low light when the automatic headlights shine out from their recesses in the double-plane grille. One of my favorite lines from any song is, "I can't complain, but sometimes I still do," by Joe Walsh. It's true in this case, and this is a list of few complaints I have about the car. First of all, the exhaust note. It sounds good from a cold start or above 3,000 RPM, but the S197 Mustang with a 3.7-liter V6 sounds way better. Mustangs and Challengers with V6s both sound relatively good with aftermarket exhaust, but the majority of 3.6-liter Camaros with exhaust mods sound like hairdryers. Another con, as I said earlier, is the immense weight. The 6th gen fixes this issue by shaving around 200 pounds, but the 5th is a little heavy. Visibility is not good, but it is better than most people claim. There's a simple 2-step process to solving the visibility issues. Step 1. Back into parking places. Step 2. Turn your head to the side before merging. Do these, and you'll overcome the shortcomings of rearward visibility in a 5th gen Camaro. I have had one mechanical issue with this car. It was a popping noise coming from the drivetrain, so I decided to have it checked out. With a 100,000 mile powertrain warranty, I thought it'd be no big deal to have it fixed. The dealership first determined there was, quote, excessive rotational slack in the left CV axle. They tried to make me pay for this, despite the fact that axles are obviously part of the powertrain, and they also claimed to have the issue fixed. Sales rep got into the car, cycled through drive and park a couple times, with the AC and radio turned up to max, and said it was fixed. I have good hearing and thought I heard something while he was demonstrating this fix. I got into the car while the dealer staff was still watching, turned off all sources of extraneous noise, and immediately demonstrated the noise was not gone. I was more disappointed than angry, because this meant I was going to be stuck with the miserable loaner Malibu the dealership had given me for even longer. I did make a video about that car, but people hated it and I deleted it. So, in order to speed up the process, I went into the shop and did half the mechanic's job for them. It turned out there was a technical service bulletin about a popping sound coming from the transmission output shaft caused by not using enough adhesive on it. They knew this. They ignored it until I proved that's where the sound was coming from. What do you know? They followed the instructions on the TSB and the noise was gone. Since then, I haven't had any issues from my car. I'd recommend a Camaro to someone who wants an affordable performance car, as the V6 model is affordable to many people, and the V8 isn't out of reach for people with good jobs. The benefits definitely outweigh the drawbacks, especially if you're like me and interior materials aren't high on your priority list.